Hello everybody and welcome to this week's Markets to Watch from Smack the Markets for the 4th of May. So as traders come back to their trading desks after the holiday weekend, we've got not only starting a new week, we're starting a new trading month as well. And one of the big questions that we have, of course, or we left with last month and the tail end of last month, was the strength of the US dollar. So the US dollar has been in a decline for, well, quite a few months now, and last month, at the tail end of last month, we saw a bounce off a key significant support level, that 9,500 price point. So far, at least at this moment in time, that seems to be supported, and we've now seen continued support in the US dollar going forward. So let's take a look at how the markets look and some of the opportunities that we're looking at going into the beginning of this week. So if we're looking at an environment of dollar strength, well, at least at the moment, then markets that we can focus on are things like some of these dollar markets. And I think some of the easier ones to focus on are things like dollar Swiss and maybe sort of dollar yen. We'll have a look at a couple of these. You can see that the dollar Swiss here sort of replicating the movements in the dollar index sort of fairly well as well. You've got a bounce off a significant price point here on the 4-hour time frame. We've got a turnaround of trend with a higher high and a higher low, and now a higher high again. So this market certainly seems to be replicating the direction of the dollar at the moment, and we've got full strengths and weaknesses supporting this to the move to the long side at this moment in time. So you can see here on the 4-hour time frame, the market's in a trading window already. We're halfway through it with a top end around the 91.6 area, 91.60 to 91.650 area up here. So again, looking at intraday opportunities on these markets, some of these lower time frames starting to look sort of quite nice. As you can see, we've started to get established trends to the long side at this moment in time. And if the strengths and weaknesses and that dollar strength theme continues, then we could start to look for continued move on these markets, and they could have a could retrace sort of some fairly sizable moves. If we have a look at the dollar yen, again we can see similar type of thing here. Technicals are playing into a bounce off at these sort of price points. If we have a look at the dollar yen on the weekly chart, you can see that we've got that nice technical bounce off that 108 level. Again, you know, this is playing into a dollar strength play at this moment in time, with sort of target levels up to around 110 and then possibly up to 111 for a continuation of this trend. If we come down to the lower time frames and take a look at this on the daily, you can see that the market again is turning around in trend. We've got trading windows here, current trading window up to around 109.690. So there's some support and resistance on the lower time frames around this sort of area, and then up to around that 110 price point. And then of course above that we've got up to the high here, which sort of takes it into the recent high of the current trend. So at this moment in time, as long as we've got continued strength in the US dollar and strengths and weaknesses are supporting these, then I think some of these markets are looking some of the better dollar plays. Some of the challenges that we have on some of the other markets, so like euro dollar, which is a very popular market to play the dollar index on, is coming into some key support. So you've got that key 120 level on this market just underneath price. It's a very significant sort of level, so personally I'd prefer any sort of opportunity either side of this, not playing straight into it at this moment in time. Now if we come over to the index markets, let's have a look at the NASDAQ first of all, because I think some of these markets are coming into some real key levels. You can see that the NASDAQ has rolled over sort of quite significantly really, and it's one of the sort of more bearish US index markets, and we're coming up to some sort of levels in here, and I've got a level around 13,700. We'll have a look at that on the 4-hour time frame, where you can see it's got quite a significant sort of neckline at this moment in time, which would certainly open the sell orders up if the market got underneath it. Currently, from the structure of price action to the long side, the market is really sort of testing that at this moment in time. If we come down to the 4-hour time frame, you can see our level here, 13,700, quite well tested in here, where the market's found previous support many times before. The big question is here, is the market going to find support again, or are we going to get a break underneath it? And I think if we get a break underneath it, then we could see a move down to 13,400, and that's sort of quite a decent size move to the short side. There's certainly sort of not an awful lot in the way of potential technical support to support the market higher. You can see at the moment we've got weakness in momentum as well, pointing for a continuation to the short side. But having said that, bear in mind this level is going to be quite a tough level for the market to break. If you have a look at the correspondence here on the S&Ps, if we have a look at this on the 4-hour time frame, you can see that the S&Ps is also testing another level as well. So you've got a decision point on the NASDAQ, you've got a decision point here on the S&Ps. I think the S&P is looking sort of mildly stronger than the NASDAQ, but again, if this level gets taken out, there is a significant trading window to the short side, and again, if this does complete, then the market is going to look sort of significantly different from the perspective that it is at the moment. Now if we take a look at the Dow is somewhat different. Dow looks much more bullish by comparison. Of course, these higher time frames do look sort of very nice in sort of long trends. There is a little bit of weakness starting to come in here on our momentum indicators, but again, if we start to have a look at this on the sort of 4-hour time frame, this market's not looking nowhere near as bearish as the other two. But there has been in recent trade in the past sort of few weeks, I would say, there's been starting to see a bit of a disconnect between the Dow and the NASDAQ particularly. So we could see that a little bit of disconnect continue here between the two indices. From a technical perspective, the Dow has a level up here of resistance around 34,045 or 050. It's an area here which has been significant resistance in the past. Now we've managed to sort of get through this in light trade over the holiday weekend, but now the market's got its real test because we're right underneath it. But at the moment this is still looking in the context of a strong trend. So from my perspective, what I'll be looking for here is resistance around this level. If the market can get above this level, then we're getting into free space above it. From the short side perspective on the Dow, then of course remember we've got significant support around 33,750 and 33,700. So just taking a quick look at the commodity markets, silver is probably one of the ones that looking one of the most bullish at this moment in time. In early trade this week, we've had a very strong move on the silver market. We can see that this market now has sort of bounced significantly off the $26 level, which is that level that we were looking at last week. It's currently sitting around $27. Above 27, we've got another trading window up there towards that 28 price point. So again, looking at commodity prices broadly being bullish and broadly being supportive. So there's a few markets there that we're keeping a close eye on going into the beginning of this week. I certainly hope it helps and look forward to speaking to you next time. Bye for now.